Welcome to Flesh and Pod, a Flesh and Blood podcast, breaking down weekly news and notes from the tournament scene, community drama, game strategy, and more. And now, here are your hosts, Darick and Logan.
Hello, and welcome to episode 61 of Flesh and Pod. My name is Logan. I am your host, and with me, as always, is Darick. And helping us run the show this week and joining the desk is Keith Bartram from the Realm Games. Darick, what did you get up to in Flesh and Blood this week?
I was supposed to go to a ProQuest on Saturday. So as we're recording this, in case you're wondering, that was yesterday. However, I did not make it because we had some pretty extreme weather here all weekend long. And so I took that time to start recording some stuff that's going to be released this week on YouTube. One of them is just about TCGs in general, but the other one is a video that I am making for multiplayer formats in Flesh and Blood, because there are a number of folks who always say things like, yeah, this game just doesn't have anything like Commander, or we really need more casual formats. And I got tired of hearing that. So I made a whole ass video about, hey, here's all the ways that you can play Flesh and Blood that are fun and casual and wacky and whatever. And they're all multiplayer, because we know that's a big draw as well. So have at it. So look for that coming this week. But that was the primary thing that I did. I did also get a couple of games in on Talishar, because I'm trying to test the deck that I'm going to take to Indy. Because we have that coming up this weekend. But that was it, sadly. I was hoping that I would have like ProQuest stuff, but I didn't end up making it because of the weather.
Well, I do appreciate your attention to multiplayer, because it just can only make the price of my Go Bananas go up. Keith, what did you get up to?
Well, I did an armory, and we did Clash this week, actually. We have a lot of newer players who have either come from Magic or just new to TCGs in general. And so Commoner / Clash is a good thing. They tend to like the Clash because it feels like there's a sideboard, and I don't know, they like that a lot. So we did Clash this week. I played Arachne in Clash. It was okay. It was fun.
How'd that go? Because how does that go without surgical extraction?
I mean, you're just piddling around and poking here and there, and it was fine. It was, like I said, it was mostly just to play with newer players. But actually, there ended up being an odd number of players, so I really only played just a little bit, and then I dropped, so it wasn't that way people didn't have to wait. And then
the awkward buys, yeah.
And then Saturday, I went to Beyond the Board. I saw Jordan and Abby. I don't know, but I got a hug from Abby, so I'm pretty sure that was the best part of my Flesh and Blood experience.
The real winner.
Yeah, but I played in Beyond the Board's ProQuest. That was the only ProQuest I could play in this season. I decided I've been putting in a lot of reps with Kano, and so I decided to go ahead and do that, even though I knew people were going to try to be getting all their Ice Heroes in before the bans kick in, and there were 4 Oldhim decks and 4 Dromai decks, and that's all I played.
Huh.
Which is not great for Kano. So, I played Ryan Rich, who is at ours. He did really well in ours. I think he made top 4. But, it was just, I mean, he just laid into me with Oldhim. It went something like, I think... it's as ridiculous as this. If it's not completely accurate, it's close enough to get the picture. It's like turn 1 was like red glacial fused. Turn 2 was Oakenold fused. Turn 3 was CNC with a red pummel. Turn 4 was an Oakenold fuse. Turn 5 was an Endless Winter fuse. Turn 6 was an Endless Winter fuse. Turn 7 was an Endless Winter fuse.
Well, the fact that you survived all of those at 30 health is itself pretty impressive.
I mean, I was literally throwing my whole hand down every turn for 7 turns in a row. So that's how turn 1 went. And then I played against a Dromai, and I felt I don't know, I can't remember who that was. I felt really good in that matchup, actually, ironically. So like I kind of handled him pretty well. The biggest thing was I kept Crucible in, and Crucible with Singe is really good. And so I Ragamuffin comboed a Singe with Crucible and just like wiped a red Singe and just wiped his board out.
Hmm.
So that felt pretty good. And he just kind of wasn't ready for that, and I don't think he's played against a lot of Kano. And then I played against another Oldhim and another Dromai, the Isis Dromai wasn't good.
So you're saying AB4 plus Crown against you is pretty good?
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Weird.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it turns out Whale doesn't really matter against Kano.
Nope. Sure doesn't.
But
Well,
yep, that was my Flesh and Blood experience.
Well, that sounds miserable. Mine was, I only played one armory this week. I did not do any pro questing and such. I had work commitments, and honestly, I could have tried to play one on Saturday. We did have some weather issues, that gave me pause, but nothing I haven't braved before. The bigger thing was I just couldn't find a deck I wanted to play, and that was the hardest. I've now been putting in quite a few reps with Rhinar to try to see if it's fun as hell. But winning with Rhinar is sometimes the dice just decide you don't get to. And I've also been playing a bit of the Bravo list that Darick sent me, just revisiting it, and have been just really identifying the spots where I'm losing games to myself and getting past those. Like, there are so many times where I looked down and I had an extra resource floating. I could have made a seismic surge that would have made the next turn so much better. And I just didn't do it because I guess I'm a fucking idiot. And that's where it was like, okay, well, I need to get better at this. So I've been trying to grind those things through. But the one army I played was Blitz. Finally got the dub in the Kasai Mirror, which is all I ever want in life, is the dub in the Kasai Mirror. So I got my little 3-0 with the cold foil Arachne behind it. That felt good. My apologies to Dagon White for dumpstering you yet again in round 1 of Blitz with Kasai. I promise that I will do it again if I get the opportunity, if you're still playing Rhinar. But last I knew, he was in the finals of a Pro Quest right now. So I don't know. And it's an old mirror that started about 50 minutes ago. So my guess is he's still got about 30 to 45 minutes of gameplay left.
He's probably got 30 to 45 health left.
His opponent might, because I don't know what version they're playing, but you know how this goes. It's going to be just like, bonk, did you do anything? No. Bonk, did you do anything? And then staring at each other. So yeah, that's where I went. And speaking of bonks, we got bonked because we thought erroneously that we were ahead of all the news last week.
We thought we had done it for once.
We thought we had fucking done it. We thought that we were in a good spot. And then, like, less than 24 hours after we record, here's the BNS announcement we had scheduled for the 30th. We're just going to drop it now.
Logan, what in 61 episodes made you think that was true?
I thought that switching to Charmer may have changed the luck, may have changed the outlook of things, and it didn't. It just turns out that we are now ahead of the majority of the news. However, we are still never going to be on time.
I realize that Charmander's here now, but
yes, Charger does not get you ahead. So that's odd to say, but we tried. I apologize to the listeners at least a little bit. However, if you did want to hear us talk about it in a timely fashion, you could have just listened to the Instant Speak podcast, which we did talk about it in a timely fashion on. But now we're going to talk about it here because not all of our listeners listen to Instant Speed. So we're going to discuss everything kind of in its own little nutshell here. So we're going to start with our bonk. Winter's Whale is banned. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's actually a really big deal. And that was the standout ban for me from the list. I mean, I think that all of them have their own impact, and I think that there's a lot to be said about one of the other ones that we'll get to in a moment. But Winter's Whale was the headliner because it has really defined Oldhim for the entirety of Oldhim existing. I mean, you just don't see people even experiment with Titan's Fist, because why would you? And then it also had defined Starvo, Bravo Star of the Show, during his reign of terror. And it's just historically been an incredibly efficient weapon for these ice heroes, these ice guardians. And it is a pretty big loss. Like, yes, you can run Titan's Fist if you still want to go one-handed, but it kind of changes the way you deck build because you need that, 3-cost card to hit the threshold, and there's just not many that fit the bill that you were running in your old list. I'm not saying that, you weren't running Macho Grandes or whatever that do it, but it just drastically changes your approach to the Ice Hero. So I think Winter's Wail being banned was kind of a big deal, and that will have potentially the largest ripple effect from this particular round of bans and suspensions.
Yeah, I tend to feel like it makes it so that the even more turtley Oldhim lists with Sigil of Solaces and Healing Balms and Remembrances, that type of list is probably going to become more popular. Just because the Winter's Wail wasn't as important to that deck. It's more about Crown, Shield, gain 40 life or whatever the hell they're doing by pitching Heart of Findle 17 times and yada, yada, yada. I've been subjected to this before. I know how this works. But the Winter's Wail just could have been anything in that matchup. The Frostbite never mattered. So that's one of those where I think that version of Oldhim might just become more prevalent, which is horrible. This is akin to by trying to make the play experience better, you may have made it more miserable. And I really don't look forward to that. I do think there's going to be a lot of people that move off Oldhim, though, because you have a less efficient weapon. And once you start, and I've also looked at this, once you start trying to build Titan's Fist Oldhim, it starts to just look like a Bravo deck. And at that point in time, why not just play Bravo? And that's where I think we gain percentage, is Bravo's viability goes up, Dromai's viability goes up. And I think that those two start getting a little bit of a more of a share of the metagame than they already had. And from there, everything else will kind of play out for Indy, and then we'll get to see, right? Like, if Oldhim is still 20%, Oldhim's still 20%. It is what it is. Keith, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I definitely think I think that was inevitable, that that dirtily turtle Oldhim deck, I think, was inevitable because of Fi and even Icelander. But like at our ProQuest and then when I was at this weekend, because Ryan Rich is at both, I think his deck is really strong and it's pretty aggressive. He wasn't swinging that often with Winter's Wail anyway. He's just doing the big Oldhim attacks, and I think the difference between an Oldhim and a Bravo deck at that point is one of the better cards in the format, which is Crown. So that would be why you still stick with Oldhim, because you can still Crown and do these massive attacks that are just fantastic, and it doesn't really matter about Whale. Because once again, like, even the super aggressive deck doesn't care about Whale.
May I introduce you to our Lord and Savior Crippling Crush?
Listen, I get it. That's a great card. I'm saying, though, like, I've said this for a long time. I think, that stupid Crown of Siege is probably one of the best cards in the game. So
I do think that there is actually a possibility. The more I've marinated on it, I want to at least experiment with a very aggressive version of Oldhim that focuses on Sledge just as your primary all the time. Because there is something very appealing to running things with Rouse the Ancients, Zealous Belting, etc. Like, being able to pitch 2 blues to then potentially Zealous Belting into Sledge consistently has a lot of potential upside. And then being able to run some of these, hardier earth attacks, if you lean more into that side of things as opposed to the ice side, I think there is potentially appeal there as well. And then, as Keith said, when you have Crown, I think we all think about Crown as the defensive, you pair it with Rampart or you do whatever, but it can be used offensively to ramp up your resources on your turn, right? Like, you can just wait and then use it on your turn, forego the damage prevention, but you can use it as a resource ramp. And then it's even more so like bonkers with Tunic at that point. It can almost be like a dark ritual every 3 turns. So there is, I think, room to at least experiment with it. I'm not saying that it's going to, out of the can be viable, but I think that it's probably better than folks are giving it credit for and I want to give it its due diligence. I'll put it that way.
And that makes sense to me. Honestly, that the ramp effect of Crown of Seeds can change games. It can make some of these bigger, dumber attacks just be more consistent. I've pummeled a fused glacial before because I fucking could. It's things like that start to become sort of egregious with that interaction. So I can see that kind of big go over type of Oldhim where there's no shield, you don't give a shit. It's just all sledge all the time. So your game plan is block with 2 cards, bonk, block with 2 cards, bonk, see a hand that looks good, set up, and then smash. That seems viable.
Yeah.
We have a couple of other things here with Hypothermia and Amulet of Ice being suspended until Icelander leaves the country. So with the deportation of Icelander, Lexi gets cards back, is how this reads. But currently, the Scourge of the North is still here. How much does this hurt Icelander, and how much does this hurt Lexi?
So,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say real quickly. So I kind of covered this already on Instant Speed, but Amulet of Ice, I think, is the one that stands out here. I think that hurts both Icelander and Lexi a fair amount because it gave you the ability to strip additional cards when you are trying to get your combo turns off. And that goes for both of those heroes, whether it's, stripping cards when you're setting up a big 3 of a kind or stripping cards when you're getting ready to, throw Icelander specialization for a ton of damage. And then when you've got your Frost Texas set up, that's like usually your big game ender. So Amulet of Ice going is a pretty big deal. Hypothermia it's a nice to have, and it certainly helped slow down some decks, but I don't think that one is as impactful as the Amulet of Ice ended up being for those 2 heroes.
Yeah, similarly. I was playing Lexi for a good while, but Lexi hates me in every way possible. It's I think actually the first time I met Darick up in Michigan, I was playing Lexi, and man, I was sitting really good at this one match, and I played 3 of a kind and drew no arrows. And then my next turn was like 4 red arrows, and that's just pretty much how every game goes with Lexi. That being said, yeah, I think the amulet hits Lexi kind of hard. I don't really know how much of a road bump this is for Icelander. I mean, obviously it is, but I think Icelander's still gonna be just fine.
I think it's the 0 cost blue ice card that gives your opponent a frostbite, and then on your next turn, when it just strips their hand.
Yeah,
so
I'm not saying
missing another turn.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not going. I'm not saying that Icelander's gonna miss it. I'm just saying I think Icelander's gonna be fine. The whole point of Icelander's still gonna be there.
Yep, and then they came for our rate buster. They decided that it is not okay to pitch a red to gain 3 resources and attack for 3 go again. We're all sad. Belittle is banned, not suspended until Phi leaves. It is going to be one of those where no, this is just rife for abuse. Keith, I'm going to start with you. What's your thought on the belittle ban?
I don't know. I go back and forth on that. I know a lot of people have a very strong distaste for belittle. We had some previous heroes kind of do that. I personally don't think it was the end of the world. It's strong. It's really strong, but I kind of liked having something like that in the game for those aggressive decks. I think those kind of things are good for the slower decks to kind of worry about. But at the same time, as the game has grown and developed and changed, we have to look at things that are powerful as go again, go get a 3 resource. So it's strong for sure. But I think when you guys were talking with Flake about all this stuff, I think I agree with something very very wholeheartedly with what you said. I don't recall who. I think it might have been Logan about them wanting to be very careful about banning Crown of Seas because it's a legendary, and I agree. Like we definitely want to be careful about that. But like belittle, basically does the same thing as Crown of Seeds for the aggro decks. And for some reason, I mean, by giving you that extra blue resource, it gives you the Dark Writ, but it also pops them for 3. I get that. I'm not saying it's a 1-for-1. I'm saying sort of, kind of. It gives that same thing. Gives those aggro decks more resources where they shouldn't be getting it normally, plus the damage. So it's a problem. I get it. It got banned. I understand why. I don't think it was that big of a deal, but a lot of people did. I get it.
I'm surprised it took this long to ban.
I am too.
If I'm being honest, and the reason for that, in my mind, is it's a generic. It's one of the few generics in the game that actually warps the way you build your deck, and it was good enough that several heroes still opted to do that, right? We've seen Belittle Chains, we've seen Belittle Briars, we've seen Belittle Fies. And so when you think about it from that standpoint, that this is, generic commons that are changing the way several heroes are choosing to build their deck, I think that speaks to the power level. But the real reason, after having marinated on it for a bit, that I believe Belittle was banned is I actually think this was a preemptive ban. I think that with Outsiders around the corner, with Katsu in it, with the support Katsu just got in Dynasty, as well as what I suspect he's going to get in the next set, I think that they were probably looking at that and going, wait a minute, Belittle's a problem, because it's going to be pretty easy for you to trigger it in those decks. And Minnowism being a 0 means that you're also turning on your Kodachis. So every time you're playing that Belittle, it is almost like 5 damage with at least 1 floating resource left over, right? Because you're going, Belittle is basically free, and then you get, your blue to pitch for 1 Kodachi. So you get 3 chain links and 5 threatened damage. And just off of that exchange, you're also threatening Mask, so they have to block somewhere in there, and you still have the entirety of the rest of your hand. So I think that this was preemptive because I suspect the additional support that Katsu's going to get in Outsiders is enough to put this finally over the top, even though it was already over the top long before.
See, and I 100% agree with that. But my reasoning is also a little bit different. I agree with that because you can go fetch up the Minnowism. If they don't block the Belittle, you just pitch them, you discard the Minnowism on Katsu's ability to just find the chain, like the piece of the combo chain you're missing, and then start your combo chain. It's kind of a ludicrous interaction at that point in time. And my feeling is that one, Dwarvism is overpowered in Flesh and Blood, with both Stubby Hammerers and Belittle now being banned, and shadow banning Minnowism at that point in time. And the other part would be like, they finally figured out they can't ban Matthew Folks, so they're just going to ban Belittle instead. That also makes sense to me. I get it. Keith, did you have something on that?
I was going to say, I think that's a good observation Darick was saying. In addition, I think there's another factor here where I think they thought Icelander was a solution to the Belittle, like a kind of like a counterpoint to it. Well, so now in addition to all the things coming out in Outsiders, you also made Icelander weak. So Belittle is already on the chopping block. Icelander got some bans. And Outsiders is going to bring a bunch of stuff like Darick just said. So for all those reasons, I think they had to ban it. I just, like I said, I'm a little sad when things get banned just because I'd like to see things work out naturally, but I understand why that happens.
So we talked about the thing that happened. Now let's talk about the reason by talking about the ProQuest Week 2 metagame. Because when we look at it, our top 4 played heroes are, and stop me if you've heard this one, Fi, Oldhim, Dash, that's kind of a weird one, and Icelander. Weird. And we're not talking small shares on any of those. This is, roughly these 4 decks equate to over 40% of the total metagame played on ProQuest Week 2. That's a lot. For everybody who didn't know, that's a lot.
But didn't Oldhim have the best win conversion?
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine.
No, it's not fine. No, your top 4 conversion rates to top 8s are Fi, Oldhim, Again, stop me if you've heard any of these. Icelander and Dromai are your top 4 conversion rates to top 8. So with 5 being in the lead with their conversion rate. Again, the top 3 conversion rate decks are the 3 decks that got hit in ProQuest week 2. And ProQuest week 2 was complete before the banned and suspended announcement. Now we're ready for the winning conversion rates. And again, if you think this is repetitive, so do I. We've got Oldhim with like 21% or something obnoxious. Fi, Icelander, and Dash. I think we identified the problem.
Yeah.
That's not good. Not good at all. However, one good thing. Arachne got on the board.
Yay!
He did get on the board.
Poor Azalea.
Yep, Arachne with 2 ProQuest victories and 4 Living Legend points is not in the bottom tier any longer. It belongs solely to Azalea. As my apologies, the Cult of Azalea, you're in my hearts, but you're just not on the leaderboard. Sorry about that. Arachne apparently is the truth, and you're still pretenders. It's
So
not to say...
parenthesis. Is Azalea gonna be good in 2 months?
You see,
I'd say there's an outside shot.
oh, for fuck's sake, no! God fucking damn it! Every fucking time it's Earth Brute this, outsider pun this, all this bullshit. That's all I ever fucking get out of you is you're driving the Discord up a wall by talking about Earth Brutes. Now they're just fucking obsessed with Channel Mount Heroic Swing Bigs, which, okay, I get it. I'm a little turgid thinking about it too. This is fine. But it's not okay to keep giving him so much gas to just pollute our channels with. It's not okay.
I'm generally concerned that Azalea is going to get all these cards and outsiders, and it's just going to make all the other Rangers better.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about Lexi than Azalea to start.
Yeah,
just because bigger card pool to begin with,
and maybe Riptide's a thing. I hope
if you look at Riptide, he's a thing.
He's
a thing.
Yeah, he's got heads and everything on his belt, but what does that mean in the game? I don't know.
He's got 19 health as a young and 38 as an old. That is that has bode well thus far.
Yeah.
To have a shortened health pool and being good. So I guess we'll see. Outsiders is going to be super interesting, and I pseudo hate the fact that I'm looking forward to the limited so much that I'm probably going to ignore everything about CC Outsiders for at least a month, because I'm just going to be jamming limited over and over and over. I could accidentally have a PTI and qualify for the Pro Tour and be a fucking master of Outsiders limited and just get waxed in CC because I spent 0 time with it because I was having too much fun drafting Outsiders. Like, that is absolutely a possibility, and one that I would have 0 regrets about. Actually, what I'd probably do is just not cash in the PTI at that point and be like, yeah, whatever. We'll save it for Worlds or something. I'm just going to keep drafting Outsiders. So that's a high possibility. We've heard from reputable sources, by reputable sources I mean Brian Gottlieb, that this will be a limited dream. And Brian played a lot of the great Magic formats, limited Magic formats. He kind of knows what limited looks like when it's good. So I have a lot of hope.
There's a good healthy mix of heroes too, so yeah, maybe sealed won't be awkward. Like, I feel like Uprising Draft was fine, but Uprising Sealed was awkward sometimes.
That's the weirdest thing, where Uprising Sealed is awkward, but Uprising Team Sealed is great.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. Yeah.
But I really feel like you're right that the Sealed and Outsiders is going to be very good, because really you're only spread between 3 classes with 6 heroes, so you get to play to whatever the best set of cards you have for whatever class you have the best set of cards for.
I just need to jump in and say how exciting it is to think about Team Sealed for Outsiders where you could have 3 heroes that are different from what your opponent's team is playing entirely, right? Like
Right.
you
Oh,
could have
Jesus.
a ranger, an assassin, and your setup is wildly different from your opponent's ranger and assassin, for example, right? Like you might be on Arachne, they're on Uzuri, you're on Azalea, they're on Riptide, right? Like right on down the line, because we have 6 total to choose from. You know, the Benji versus Katsu means that it's not even a true mirror, for example. Like
No, it's not.
I love the idea of the 6 heroes because it makes Team Sealed that much more dynamic in my mind. Where Uprising, don't get me wrong, like that was a lot of fun, but you know, the Phis all looked like every Phi, right? The Icelanders were all trying to do the same thing. It was cool that you got one of each basically on your team every time, but very rarely was there a lot of deviation. However, this set, at least in theory, with what we know so far, it does feel like there is an opportunity for it to be that much more dynamic. So I'm really jacked for that.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I hadn't really thought about that, but that would be so insane. Because, like, you're right. You kind of like in Uprising's Team Sealed, you're playing a little bit of the matchup lottery. Like, are you the Icelander? Did you get paired against the Dromai? Okay, you're gonna have a hard time. You know, that sort of dynamic. But with this, it's much more interesting. Because you could just be sitting down and be like, okay, I'm playing Riptide. You see somebody sit across from you and they're taking you see Kadachi. He's like, oh shit. Oh wait, which ninja is it? God, I hope it's not Benji because that means I'm never blocking. And that might kill me. But that's a very interesting thing I hadn't thought of, that you could have 6 unique heroes in a Team Sealed match. That's incredible. I'm in.
Yeah.
I want to play Team Sealed now.
Right?
Weird. Well,
I know a guy.
yeah, you do. You know, yeah, so do we. The last piece of the ProQuest Week 2 metagame, I am sad to report, as your intrepid sideline reporter, Briar is at 954 Living Legend points and is very unlikely to Living Legend out after the ProQuest season ends tomorrow. Well, today. So we'll have Briar legal for the Calling in Indy at the very least.
Yeah,
and
but Brody's gonna come and clean sweep that to take care of it for the ProQuest, right?
it's possible, but Briar has a tendency to shit on people by just saying, here is a hand with no attack actions.
Right.
Which happened to Brody in the top 4 of the brawl in Columbus, if I recall correctly, where he had a CMH turn. He was ready to just give it to his opponent. He drew up after playing CMH and attacking, and then saw 0 attack actions. And that is how that went down.
It's just gonna
Yeah,
get
that was
better.
in that marathon against Noah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of the realm, we have a little bit of 20K circuit news. I mean, obviously, we still have the first Brawl weekend, which is in Chicago on March 25th and 26th, now featuring a speakeasy party. Keith, can you tell me about the speakeasy party this time?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So if you like to do cool things with cool people, you should come to Chicago because there's Is that second?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah,
All
Logan's
right.
getting into the speakeasy feel for this.
Yeah, I got to get the vibe going.
Yeah. So Peter and Jessica, that's his wife. I haven't physically like met her, but we've done a lot of back and forth emails and phone calls and stuff. She's a really cool person. I can't wait to meet her. But when we were doing all this, we were trying to figure out like where would be a really cool party, for the speakeasy party. And she's like, I have this really cool idea, but it's a little outside the box. I'm like, okay,
Whatever, dude.
all right. Well, this is Keith, so I'm all ears. You have my undivided attention. And so she was like, yeah, like about 15 minutes from the venue, there's this like bar type thing where I think it's an 18-hole mini golf inside of a bar. There may even be a bowling alley lane in there. Like, there's just like a bunch of just really awesome activities like that, plus like the bar, and we'll have like our own private room, and oh yeah, it is gonna be a blast. It is up on our website. I think there's only about 15 tickets left or something for sale. But you can win a ticket.
You can. Where can they win tickets?
They can win tickets all over the place, but one very important place would be a certain podcast that I listen to every Tuesday morning.
Tommy's doesn't come out on Tuesdays.
Tommy's does not come out on Tuesdays. Let's see here. Flakes does not come out on Tuesdays.
Nope. Sure doesn't. Pitch Perfect? Does Pitch Perfect come out on Tuesdays?
Ooh, don't remember.
Hashtag no free ads.
No
Fuck
free
it, it's
ads.
us.
Oh,
We got
yes,
one for you.
Right. Yeah.
So we have a free hashtag no free ads speakeasy ticket to give away to a loyal listener. Our contest details are going to be TBD. We will announce them on Twitter. So if you're not following us on Twitter, please follow us at FleshPod. We will be announcing the details of the giveaway there and running it via Twitter this time. And it's not a cheap ticket. So you'll be winning some real value to come hang out with all of us D-Gens and doing crazy D-Gen shit. Special thanks to MinMax Games for scouting the location for us this time. And as always, special thanks to Keith Bartram for being an utter fucking madman. You are the best.
I mean, to be fair, my brother makes this also possible. So, like,
he's the subdued one, though.
He is.
That's the
he
thing.
is. So, like, my house is kind of like a duplex, and so he lives in one part and I live in the other part. So every now and then, like, one of us will like run to the other side and be like, "I have this idea," and we're like, "Okay." Yes. And you're like, I haven't even said it yet. It's like, I don't care. Let's do it.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah, right. And I was like, well, it could be something like going to the moon. It's like, all right, well, how are we going to do it? That's kind of how it works.
God damn it, Charmer.
Why? It is your fault.
The boats are my fault. God damn it.
I lost a whole night of sleep, and it's Derek's fault.
for fucking Flesh and Blood in space?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Hey, speaking of really awesome ideas that have originated from me, I've got an update that I need to share with folks. As of 15 minutes ago, Dagan has officially won his third ProQuest.
Breaking news.
And
Dagan is still good.
According to Twitter, the gold foil that he won was a Bone Vizier, the headpiece for Brute. So, if you're looking to buy a headpiece for the future of Earth Brute, then perhaps Dagan has what you need. I don't know why you would want to run anything other than Crown of Seeds in that situation, but still, the option exists, and Dagan owns it. Congratulations, Dagan.
Congrats,
I'm happy
buddy.
to hear about your win.
Yet again, you earned back the elo that you lost yesterday. That's good. It's really he runs the hottest when he's opening these fucking gold foils too, because it was Courage of Bladehold was the first one that he opened, which a banger. The second one was an Earthlore bounty, so again we're back to Majestics, and then the two that he had opened previously from this year were Crucible and Romping Club, which are both A+, playable in both of their heroes. And then he opens a Bone Vizier, which doesn't sound like much, but there's no cold foil Bone Vizier because it's only in the fucking Rhinar deck.
He also opened up a Crown of Dominance.
Well, that was for trashing. That was for bodying the devs. That's completely different.
Okay. That's completely different. But still, his pulls have been fire.
The most important trophy that Dagan White has, and Dagan, this is making up for all those weeks I decided to not mention you on the show. You're just getting your airtime now. Is the fact that he is currently the Rhodeyberg Invitational Fab champion and wears the belt to every event, which is quite possibly the best flex that anybody has ever done in this game so far. If you don't believe me, if you look at the winner's pick from the Dev Challenge, he's wearing the fucking belt. This man understands what side his bread is buttered on and is here to tell everybody that belt, better than what you got, belt. So until the Flushing Blood upgrades their game from trophies to belts, Dagan's currently the heavyweight champion. So, and to be the man, you got to beat the man. That's all there is to it. I would say moving on, but I think we're so far off the rails, there's nothing to really move on to. Oh, right. So we do have information, breaking news, as it were, of the second Brawl weekend. Keith, we're back to you, baby. What do we got?
Okay. So you can call me Daddy Keith if you like. Some people like to do that. So
God damn it. Yes, they fucking do. I get it. Yeah.
Anyway,
okay, hit me with it, Daddy. I got that felt wrong. Oof.
Did it? Did
it? It kind of felt good too.
It rolled right off the tongue, like you've been
like genitalia. That word also rolls off the tongue. So,
oh man.
Anyway, like, what did I sign up for? This is fucking madness.
Anyway, yeah. So we're going to Pitt with Green Tree in May, end of May. The guys at Green Tree. Okay, I'm not sure. Well, Logan has had an opportunity to meet John from Green Tree. John is, I think, nearly about as crazy as I am. Like he puts together some crazy awesome events. Like I wish I could remember all he was giving away. He gave away like some really sweet old school mats that he had gotten. He had boxes he was giving away. I mean, he did.
I can name some of it off. I remember.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So he gave away a Command and Conquer playmat, a Nourishing Emptiness playmat. I mean, these are some real bangers. A Gorganian Tome playmat, 2 boxes of Crew, 2 boxes of Dynasty, 2 boxes of Arcane Rising. He did not move the price of his tournament up at all.
Right.
It was just normal pricing. Rented a venue that was not in his store to house more people, so people could do more stuff. Had a booth set up with priced singles. And then all the degen shit we wanted to do, he just shrugged his shoulders and said, yeah, do it. He even had a fucking meatball truck out front. Those are some pretty damn good meatballs.
Oh, those were
really good meatballs.
Yeah. So I met John because he needed someone to run his road to nationals last year, and he couldn't find a judge nearby where he was at in Pennsylvania. And so I was just like, hey, I can come do that for you, but if you find a local judge, like let them do that because I want your community to have someone, reliable, because I can't necessarily just hop in my car and drive 3 hours for you. But he's like, no, I can't find anyone. Come on out. We met. And I was like, oh man, this is a cool dude. Really liked them a lot, and all the community there in Pittsburgh. Those guys are just absolutely fantastic in every way possible. And we just hit it off and kept in touch. And he's like, hey, we want to do this thing. We're in this fire hall. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's blow this up to space. Oh, space again. Sorry, I got distracted.
I can hear you hit the table from underneath when you talk about it.
No, but in all sincerity, so at Worlds last year, during like the final night, there was like a bunch of us went all out, and we were all just having a great time, talking, chatting, doing our thing. And Peter and Alex, Norvell, and I, we were all sitting and chatting. We're like, how cool would it be to have an event where the Realm and MinMax like got together? And so that's what birthed Chicago. And then when LSS said they're only doing one pro tour, we'd kind of kicked around doing a series, and I thought that might be like a 2024 thing because we still need like some scheduling things. But when they dropped that, I was like, you know what? I don't know how, but I have faith that we'll figure out how to make this series work this year because there's one less thing in the whole schedule.
We did spend a non-zero amount of hours talking about it. That much is true.
Yes. So then the MinMax thing, I was telling Peter, I was like, hey, I can throw some of these tickets to the MinMax thing and with the Chicago with us and the MinMax to kind of like put a little bit more juice on that and make it even more enticing for the community. That just seemed like a no-brainer. But then I was like, I think we need to get some other stores because like Green Tree would love to run a Battle Hardened, but there's some space things that they don't have, and they're just getting their feet wet with running organized play. And so I was like, what I could do is I could come over and help them and go, hey, let's run a big event together, and you bring your community, we'll bring our expertise, and we'll run a really cool event. And so I just kind of messaged John. I was like, John, how would you feel about doing an event with the Realm in Pittsburgh? He's like, yes, absolutely, yes. Like with the Pittsburgh Brawl, yes, let's go. I mean, he was just on top of it. And we got. I'll leak this out too. Kayfabe is going to be partnering with us on quarter 3. We're just waiting for the LSS schedule to come out for that. But it just seemed like a really cool thing to go. Here are these really awesome stores who are well known for being awesome stores, and that just seems like the perfect kind of partnership we were looking for what we wanted to do this year. And yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled with working with all these people, great people to bring great events. So we're pretty stoked. So I think it's the last weekend of May. I want to say it's like the 27th and 28th, but my brain's a little fried on dates because I've
I have
had
a
so many of
calendar
them.
in front of me, so we're looking at. Yep,
Yeah,
wow, nailed it. 27th and 28th. Look at this guy.
I know. If only there was something that I could have like in the palm of my hand that would give me information.
Right. If we could have the entire sum of human expertise and knowledge in the palm of our hands, we would use it for cat memes and porn.
Yeah,
So that's a good thing we don't.
yeah, good thing.
Yeah. So that last weekend, we're looking. It's amazing because these are all Speedy nominated, I believe, stores, but only one of them was a Speedy winner. I wonder who that was. But did you get a trophy for that, by the way?
If I did, I don't have it.
Flake, you fucking cheap ass. At any rate,
Or is it like one of those things where you have to like buy your own trophy?
probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, it will. I'm sure you can bring that up this weekend because we'll be all at the Calling in Indianapolis. There's gonna be some bullshit, and I would apologize, but I don't feel like it because that's not what we do. Please come say hi to us as we roam around. We are more approachable than we appear on the internet. At least I am. A Charmer is utterly approachable at all points in time, but you won't know who he is until he tells you for the 5th time. Then maybe you'll get, and like you're like, oh right, you're Brendan. It's like, sure, that's accurate. What are you looking at playing? Where are you at, Darick? If you're willing to say.
I'm going to be bringing Bravo. I just don't know the exact list. I've made some changes that I think will be beneficial with the state of the metagame post bans, just because I expect some things to shift, but I haven't fully settled on it. But one way or the other, I'm going to bring Bravo just because I have the most reps on it. I think that if I wasn't on Bravo, I'd probably take Fi. I think that Fi is also just in a really good spot, and I think that even without Belittle, I would feel comfortable piloting it, but I only ever play it on Talishar because I still don't own a Shuko or a Mask in my own personal collection. So yeah, it's just Talishar for me, but I'll probably just bring Bravo because I like big swings and go like O2, and then if they run drafts, I'll play them, but I haven't been seeing on-demand draft listed on the website, so this might be the first Calling that I've ever not purchased one of the packages. I might just do the Calling, and then if I scrub out, go to the casino instead. I don't know. If there's drafts, I'll draft all day, but...
So Jordan has committed to having his cube with him, so we can just literally cube all day. That's also a possibility. So there is that. The battle hardened is Blitz, which oddly enough I'm looking forward to more. But that's because I just get to play Kasai and have fun. But Keith, are you playing at all?
So TBD, I haven't quite figured out what I want to do. So, and for those who don't know, the Realm, we're setting up a booth there, so it's going to be our first time setting up a booth, and it's a bit daunting when you look at like these like behemoth of names like MinMax and Mongolia Games. There's another one I can't remember who else is going to be there, but like these guys have like everything. They've been doing this forever, so we're gonna be a little fish in that big pond there, but we're gonna have fun, meet a lot of people, talk to a lot of people. Like I think that's what's probably gonna be more than likely gonna happen. It's just meeting people, talking to people, trying to help people get cards, that kind of thing. But I may play in the Calling just because Jacob and I were talking about that, and he's trying to get me to play. He's like, because I've been judging and TOing so much. He's like, you
Yeah.
really should play. Like, why don't you go have fun for a change? With this is a game after all. Sometimes I have to keep telling myself that. But he's like, why don't you go play? So I may play. I don't know. We'll see. Like, my concern is like, they'll get overwhelmed, but I don't know. We'll see. They can always come get me, and I'll drop if I have to. But
So I have an idea. What if the realm had a prize wheel that you got to spin for every $100 spent?
okay, so I've already thought about that. And unfortunately, there in the contract, you are not allowed to do any games of chance at your booth. So I can't do that. I've already tried.
Prize wheel.
I know. I'm still trying to figure out like if there's a way around this, but like I don't think there is. I don't think there's a way. But
So how are you supposed to sell booster packs then?
oh, that's not games of chance. That's
Oh.
buying product.
Oh,
Because I thought every time I bought a booster pack, I was taking a chance on pulling something good and then failing.
Oh no, it's an investment into your future, Derek. And you should buy more.
yeah. Scratchers are an investment to your future, Keith. What the fuck?
Booster packs are actually just tarot cards, and the better your pack openings are, the better your future will be. And it turns out I have no future.
Hangman and 6 of Cups for you, fuckhead. Get dead.
Oh man, yeah,
That's awful.
yeah. That's why we can't have nice things.
Well,
So-
I mean, that's one of the reasons. The
Yeah,
other
that's one of the
is
reasons.
the other is you associate with me.
Yeah, well,
We all make mistakes, right?
sure.
But
So,
yeah, I'm super excited about one. Honestly, it's insane. It's crazy to me that the realm has become a brand in a very short amount of time. When I first talked to you, you hadn't done a bigger event yet. You were still just a shop in Mansfield, Ohio, and I'm again. This is one of the best parts of starting to do this show has been that I got to meet Keith and Jacob. So that's one thing that will never, be taken away from you at this point in time, unless God forbid I do something that pisses you off in the wrong way. But
I am a diva.
you are a little bit of one, yes. You do not accept that beer is bread, which is just, I don't understand how you've lived this long being so wrong. But yeah, it's you've come so far so quickly that now when you mention, like, when somebody talks about the realm, they're not talking about the store in Ohio. They're talking about the brand, The Realm, who hosts these crazy ass events that people are like, oh, when's the next Realm event? And that's so amazing to me that you've come this far that quickly.
Well, the biggest thing that shows you that we've arrived is we have a hat. You can get a hat. So that's what I knew.
Is by having a hat.
Yeah. Because it's not like you can just go get a hat someplace.
Oh, Derek, the sample Speedo is supposed to be being sent to you soon for rigorous testing.
Well, I will make sure to bring it to Indy so that all of us can take turns testing it. That's the most rigorous way to do it.
Oh, man.
There's no way that my ass would ever fit in a Speedo that could fit your ass.
Listen, this is how we rigorously test it, and there will be no washing in between, and then one lucky winner at the end will receive.
It's like Russian roulette with a Speedo.
That thing's going to be rubbing so much taint. Why would you want it?
I don't know. People sell this stuff all the time on the internet. So
I guess Jordan is selling Magic Mountain Water or whatever it was on eBay. So yeah, I guess. Before we get too far, we're so far off the rails. It doesn't actually fucking matter. Whatever. This is Keith. Congratulations. This is the first time since Charmer came in that I felt like we actually have lost the thread of discussion multiple times in a show. So I applaud you in helping us maintain a bit that has existed for 55-ish of 61 episodes.
Yes, Keith. Let me thank you for allowing us to space out.
You motherfucker.
Oh my goodness. Why would you do that?
Oof.
Table flip. Flip.
If I didn't have so much expensive shit on this desk, you know what? I don't fucking care. I'm going to flip it anyway. But all right. Let's get this thing moving. I'm sure that Abby would have moved this on like 7 minutes ago. So we're going to do we only had one listener question, but it's a pretty good one. It's from Big Lou. Shouts out to Big Lou. With Logan finding one of his holy grails a few weeks ago, which is the lore book, what other grails are you looking for? Can be for Flesh and Blood or other games or collectibles. Darick, we're going to start with you. What grails are you looking for?
So for Flesh and Blood, I've also wanted a lore book ever since I found out they were even a thing. And I desperately want one, but I just cannot bring myself to pay the price for them currently. But I really want one. Outside of the lore book, as far as Flesh and Blood goes, I also really would like a Marvel Bravo Showstopper from History Pack 1, preferably Spanish, but I would take any of the languages it was printed in. And my non-Flesh and Blood Holy Grails are honestly a lot of stuff that I used to own and then sold when I was very, very young and I was trying to pay for the wedding at the time. So like I used to own a giant size X-Men 1. I owned an Iron Man 1. I've never owned a Tales of Suspense 39. That's like my real holy grail is an Iron Man nerd.
Iron Man 1. Or first Iron Man.
Yeah, first appearance. I had an Iron Man 1, but I never had a Tales 39. But like some of those things that I either used to own or just never really got around to owning would be high on my list. X-Men 12, which was first appearance of Juggernaut, was another one that I was very excited about. But anyway,
that's a good one.
Yeah, I had a lot of good stuff. You know, I had several copies of NYX number 3. I know that came up in an earlier episode of our podcast. I had a full run of Ultimate Spider-Man, including like graded versions of number 1. Like I had a bunch of stuff, but it is what it is. Anyway,
yeah, those are my grails.
Right, but
I'm looking at my walls right now, and it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood, it's the lore book, and then a Marvel Bravo Showstopper are my 2 big ones right now.
Keith, what do you got left? I mean, there's not a lot.
Well, so before Flesh and Blood, I was pretty big into MTG, and I had these weird collecting goals for MTG. So I'm trying to get some weird collecting goals for Fab. But like, for example, for MTG, one of my goals was I was trying to get a 1,000 count box of Alliance Force of Wills. I got about halfway there. Because what I wanted to do was burn them.
Somebody loves blue.
Those are so even going by today's prices, which are somewhat depressed on Alliance Force Will right now.
Right.
1,000 count box is still going to run about 75 grand.
Yep.
You're shitting me. I haven't checked prices in so long. Like the last time I paid for Force of Wills, and I had bunches of them back when I played, they were like $1 a piece uncommon.
Oh, yeah,
God, no.
They're easily 75.
That tells you
in
how
good
old
condition.
I am.
Yeah, in decent condition, Alliances will be about 75, 80 right now. They got all the way up to like 130 at one point.
And then they printed
the shit out of it. Yeah.
Oh man, disgusting.
But I thought at the time that the YouTube video would pay for that.
Well,
I sold my collection before I made that terrible decision. But so yeah, I need to get some weird Flesh and Blood like goals like that just to be outlandish. So like my current one is I want to open every Fabled, and I need to open an eye and a shard, and I will have done that, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
Now that's in cold foil though, right? It's only first ed. Yeah, it has to be first ed.
No, I'm saying first ed and rainbow.
Okay, so you haven't opened either of those in In Rainbow, really?
I've opened them. No, I've opened them in Rainbow. I haven't opened them in Cold Foil.
Okay, so you've opened a Rainbow Shard and a Rainbow Eye.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
About to say,
But-
I've opened multiple of each. So
Yeah.
I've only opened one Fable ever.
Oh, please say it was Corsham.
It was Corsham, and I opened 2 of the cold foils like right when Aria launched. But that's it. I've never opened any of the other ones because, as I said, I just don't have good luck. This is why I don't own a Shuko. I have opened so much Uprising, and I have 1 legend from the entire set. I have play sets of everything, but I own 1 legend from the entirety of Uprising, and that's Furnace. I just cannot open.
It's not a bad one to have, but
I mean, it's not a bad one, but like 1 out of, cases at this point. Unreal.
I do not want to talk about the number of legendaries I've opened out of, or fableds for that matter, that I've opened out of sets. It's my fab luck has repaid my shit MTG luck several times over already, and that's fantastic.
So I do have to add one of my white whales I have landed, and you will be able to see this in Indianapolis at our booth.
Okay.
And that's all I can say.
Is it what I saw at the ProQuest?
No, because no one has seen this yet.
Oh, okay, fair.
Oh, now I'm very interested.
Because I when I was at the ProQuest, in the store in the case, there was a Marvel Emperor, and I was like, oh, that looks neat. So
Yep. Let's just say I got this from a really interesting collector in New Zealand. That's about all I can say. And
Interesting.
You can come see it at the booth at Indy.
Is it for sale?
It is not.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, everything's for sale, but the dollar amount is probably nothing that that any right-minded person would offer you.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. I mean, like, it's possible.
My dad always told us if it's screwed to the ground, unscrew it.
I mean, that's the way I do things too. It's just like there's nothing that isn't for sale. Right. It's just what the number is.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the vendor in me that honestly, Holy Grails for me, like, so Darick hurt me because Giant Size X-Men #1 is something I've never owned and have always wanted because I'm a big Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Storm are 3 X-Men characters that I really enjoy. My favorite X-Men character, I mean, my name's Logan, but it's not Wolverine, it's Gambit. But I have his first cameo and his first appearance. Like, those are easy to get-ish, like, not a big deal. I would level Hulk 181, just so I do have the first Wolverine.
Yeah, so I've had a 180, but never a 181.
Never a 181. So you had the cameo, but not the full.
Yeah, which I think is silly because there's plenty of people that they just get a cameo and they treat that as the first appearance, but then for Wolverine they don't. Like, it's entirely subjective. So
yeah. But like, I make sure that I have like my favorite characters. I try to have their first appearances. So like Mr. Sinister is like my favorite character, period. So I have a first Sinister. Apocalypse is really high on the list. I have a first Apocalypse. I really enjoyed Sienna Blaze. So X-Men Unlimited one is another one that I have multiple copies of just sitting around. I really thought that Young Avengers was cool, and now it's like expensive, but because I thought it was cool, I had them. And so because I thought Hulkling was a cool character and Wiccan was a cool character. Patriot's fine.
Teen Titans.
Similar, yeah. But now
they all it was just the same thing.
No, it's Marvel's version. Teen Titans
sure.
is DC, but
I was hoping to get a better reaction from you.
No, I will mansplain to you everything about comic books if you let me.
Okay.
But those are my like grails outside of Fab, really. Magic, I really don't have any anymore. I think anything that I've ever wanted to own, I've owned at some point in time. I still have quite a few things that they sit around. I mean, they're retirement, right? And unless they start printing them, then I'm fucked. But as far as Fab goes, I think that the next project is a first edition box of every set. that I can just keep in a cabinet, a curio cabinet on display unopened. That's the next thing. I know I've got a Crucible box because Keith owes me 2. And I will be popping one and then displaying the other. I'm going to have to put a very strong lock on that cabinet that is not easy to open so that I just don't pop both boxes.
You should
And
get one of those hard cases for it.
and then like hermetically seal it and glue it.
Yeah.
And so I would actually have to take a hammer to it to open it. Yeah, it's probably actually what I should do.
Yeah.
I am a DGen and will just bust packs. I have no qualms, especially if like it's a supplemental set. Who can't draft it? Who gives a shit? So that's going to be very difficult for me to not pop all the crew boxes I have. But the rough ones are obviously going to be WTR Alpha and Arc, as they're very, I mean, they're not very expensive, but they're expensive enough to give you pause. And but I believe enough in this game that I'm cool to just say, okay, well, if I want it, it's not going to get cheaper, that's for sure. So might as well go at it, right? Like, there's no time like the present. I will be. I plan on offing the majority of my Magic collection come Lorcana time, just to jump in hard on Lorcana.
Oh, yeah, that's actually fair. Speaking of grails, I'd love to get a set of the D23
The
Expo promos, but not at the prices they're currently going.
Don't want to pay like $3,000 for the set? What?
Yeah.
What's wrong with paying a box of WTR Alpha Plus for a set of 6 cards?
And the sad thing is that they may be on sale right now.
Yeah, that's very, that was the craziest. Like, I think I've told this story before. I told it, or told at least, like, it's been 61 episodes. I can't remember what I've said and what I haven't said. But after my first weekend of playing Flesh and Blood, my the buddy that I'd learned with, Christian Krugler, I don't know if he still listens or not, but if you do, hey, what's up, buddy? And he has a lot of graded Magic. He saw the writing on the wall with the reserve list and price spikes, and he just bought in heavy. He found a way to kind of game the system a little bit with Card Kingdom and credit, and made out like a bandit, and has just vaults of really cool stuff. And we went and played that first night. It was a WTR draft. Came back the next day. I messaged him on work. I'm like, hey, what do you think? And he's like, well, I've been looking into this, and I think Flesh and Blood is on sale right now, so you should always buy things that are on sale. And that was kind of what sealed it for me. This man is super fucking smart and does not often make wrong decisions when it comes to investment opportunity or seeing things for what they are. And I mean, at the prices I bought in on most things, he's right. I mean, at the time I bought in on owning a play set of every card in Flesh and Blood, I paid nowhere near what the retail prices are right now for most of these things. So I believed him at the time, and he was right. And the problem you're running into now is that with more and more people buying in, there's no WTR on the market anymore. We don't know if there's still history pack that's going to be releasing to vendors or whatever. A lot of these cards are going to start drying up. I like the odds of some of these Chase legendaries starting to get printed as Fableds, maybe, but those are not that easy to pull either. So collector value is just going to kind of keep crawling up. So I firmly believe that we're in a good spot for the people who have been listening to us for 61 weeks ish at this point in time. If you just picked us up 4 weeks ago, I'm still buying. Just because prices have gone up, I haven't stopped. Keith, you haven't stopped.
No,
Charmer never started, but that's fine. Well, by saying you have a problem, hold on. The first step is admitting that you have a problem. However, you have to actually believe it's a problem.
Right.
You do not believe it's a problem.
Yeah,
you're
right.
told it's a problem, but you don't accept it.
Yeah, I don't.
So, and I applaud you for not accepting that it's a problem, because it makes my life far more interesting. Well, let's get out of here. We've bullshitted enough today. I want to give a shout out to our Patreon associate producers. Now we have Andy and Kenny, And then executive producers, we have Chris, Nick D, Josh, Mike B, Teague, Ed, May, Philip, and Taylor. If you're interested in joining our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/fleshandpod. The link will be in the show notes. We have 4 tiers for you to look at. I will be adding more tier rewards soon. So be on the lookout. I'm still finalizing a few different things, making sure that I can do the things I want to do. It's not as easy as I'd like it to be, but it is what it is. You can also find us on Twitter at FleshPod. You can email us at fleshandpod@gmail.com. However, please be advised that the complaints department is still the trash can next to Jordan Kennedy's desk. Darick, where can they find you?
They can find me in Indianapolis this weekend, probably hanging around the booth ran by Keith for the Realm Games, but also playing in the Calling. Outside of that, you can find me on YouTube and Twitch as Charmer, on Twitter as That Charmer, and probably many other places in some varying degree of Charger, Chamber, Charmander, whatever. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Keith, how about you?
The best thing to do would be go to realmgamingnetwork.com. All of our relevant social links are there, and then that way it's just whatever ones you like, you can just pick and choose. There's just links up top there, but that has like all of our announcements and tournament information, and just everything you want to know about the Realm is going to be there. And then Jacob kind of handles all the social media part because apparently I'm old. I don't know. So
I mean, kinda, yeah.
I'm basically dead.
I am older than you. You can also find Keith in our Discord, as well as myself and Chamber. That link will be in the show notes. Did you know that they're doing an X-Men Legends Chamber figure? Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
Did you order one yet?
I have not ordered one yet.
Because I want you to like sign them for people and give them to them, because it's a figure of you. But you can also find me on Twitter at Logan Peterson, talking inane bullshit. That's all I ever do. But the best place to reach any of us really is in our Discord. We are very active, talking shit to each other, and it's a very cool community. We're very laid back about most things. We'll talk anything from sports and gambling to Marvel Snap to cocktails and existential dread. So we cover the entire gambit of everything you'll ever feel in your life, except for happiness. We don't always hit that one, but we try our damnedest. I guess I got nothing else. Guys, is there anything else?
Nah, see you on the moon.
The moon!
The moon! All right, everybody. That's it for us this week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.
Hey all, a couple of people have reached out saying that they missed these little outtakes at the end of shows or postscripts or whatever you want to call them. So I thought I'd give this a whirl. There's a lot I want to say. There's a lot of people I want to thank, but mostly I want to thank you. It's obviously change is hard, and the fact that everybody has stuck around and kept listening to the show and encouraged us has made the change a lot easier. And so I appreciate that. I guess this is my reminder to love each other and love yourself. And I'm glad that you're still along for the ride. It's definitely something that I was worried I wouldn't enjoy doing as much, but all of you have made it so that the enjoyment has continued. And Darick is great. He has been super helpful in helping me navigate through all the change. Still friends with everybody involved, and I still love doing this. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love you all. Say it back. You did say it back. You are little weirdos. Okay, and remember, I'm going to steal this from Jordan just one time, but time is a cruel mistress. Okay, see you later.